fellow Singaporeans, Singapore has had a turbulent and challenging year. In January, dark clouds had gathered all around us. Our economy was hit by the worst storm in our history. Exports went down by a third, and manufacturing too declined sharply, since we produced for world markets. Given this backdrop, we projected GDP to shrink this year by 6 to 9%. We couldn't have avoided the storm, but we didn't passively resign ourselves to fate. Instead, we mobilized Singaporeans to tackle the crisis together. We brought the budget forward to January, implemented a resilience package, and drew on past reserves to help fund the Special Risk Sharing Initiative and the Jobs Credit. We are now in a stronger position. The global economic situation has somewhat stabilized. Our measures have cushioned workers from the worst of the storm. Our economy was amongst the worst hit, and yet we still have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the world. Singaporeans too have responded resolutely and cohesively, and these factors helped the Singapore economy to bounce back strongly in the second quarter. As a result, growth in the first half of the year was minus 6.5%, a very significant contraction, but less bad than we had feared. Hence, we have revised up our growth projection for 2009. Our economy will still shrink, but only by between 4 and 6%. But it's too early to celebrate. The outlook remains clouded. The advanced economies aren't expected to bounce back soon. Our exports remain much lower than last year, and companies like SIA are still facing very tough conditions. We might see another wave of retrenchments later in the year, so we must stay on guard for more challenges to come. Beyond this year, we expect the global situation to remain difficult for some time. But the adverse external environment doesn't mean that Singapore cannot grow. We can and must look for new ways to develop and prosper. Opportunities still exist, especially in Asia, but we need all our ingenuity and resourcefulness to find them and exploit them. Businesses and workers are already adjusting to the new world. Many firms are changing their business processes, finding innovative ways to cut costs and generate revenues, and aggressively seeking out new markets. Workers are taking advantage of the SPUR program to upgrade their skills and retrain for new fields. The unions are cooperating closely with employers to adapt to the change conditions instead of resisting change. We must keep this up. In the midst of recession, as we tackle the immediate challenges, we must also look to the future. The Economic Strategies Committee is studying how we can transform our economy. The committee will examine how Singapore can find new opportunities, build new capabilities, sustain balanced growth, and overcome our constraints. We are involving the private sector to gather the best ideas that can enable us to prosper. I'm confident the committee will have good proposals when it reports next year. Our responses in this crisis will ensure that once the US and Europe emerge from their troubles and the world economy recovers, Singapore will forge ahead again in a dynamic Asia. Up close, our current difficulties may appear daunting, but we should see them against a longer perspective.